Hello, everybody, and welcome to Flow Getter. Today we have who we always have, me, Lisa Westby, and Erica Tafoya, who is super amazing. Okay, so today's topic is, I don't know, Erica, what's today's topic?
This is a great question.
We're like, we have no topic.
I have no idea.
Total uncertainty is today's topic.
Oh, that's a great idea. Going with the flow.
Go with the flow. Yes. Well, I want to take this opportunity before we begin today to tell people about what is Flow Getter exactly. And I always like to keep saying this because we too are figuring this out. And I'm going to just say across the board that Flow Getter really is about that there's this infinite allness coming through every piece of life, even this eyeglass cleaner. And all of creation is coming through all of its creations. And our job is to be aware, not close ourselves off to that awesomeness and be really open to it and feel the flow. And when you're in that flow or you're experiencing it, it's always there. Your experience of your life turns into this amazing thing of joy, goodness. And even in really bad times, I think that there's a way to connect with something greater than yourself with that too, because it's sometimes not all roses and candy canes. But so that's kind of my 2 cents about what I think Flow Getter is today. I could change my mind tomorrow. Sometimes it's about aliens. I can't tell you. But what I can tell you is that Erica Tafoya now can tell us what she thinks.
I love this. You just sparked some ideas. I love, so you're right. There is consciousness in everything. And if you do believe, which we believe, that everything is energy, if you believe, or I believe this, if we believe this, what I meant to say was if we believe that we create everything, that everything that we come into contact with in our own individual experience and world, which is different from literally anybody else or anything else. I created this. I created everything I see and hear and touch and taste and smell. Because I created it, I can be excited about it and love it. I know that, again, I guess it kind of goes back to what you believe, but I believe that at the core of who I am is unconditional love. And so from that space, if we created everything that is around us, it's almost logical to just believe, well, I automatically love all of it because that's what created all of this stuff. It's all that's what it is. So to me, Flow Getter is going with the flow in the sense of, oh, I created this entire thing that exists around me and I'm going to go with it because that's my creation. And even when it feels bad or icky, I still created it and I can still love it. Even if it feels icky, I still have the capacity to love it.
Wow.
So
speaking of love, I love that. Because you talked about unconditional love, which is huge, right? Because our brains are always judging, this is good, that's bad, work's boring, this is fun, whatever, right? So you're saying that your focus is on tapping into that feeling no matter what's happening.
Exactly.
That's why I want the t-shirt that just says Tafoya. Because Tafoya. So good. So good.
Yeah, I think that's kind of, because for me, it all kind of comes down to, okay, how can I get to that good feeling place no matter what my circumstances are? And when I try to remember that, oh, I did this in a good way, even when it feels
you did this to yourself.
I did this, even when it feels super shitty, I still did it.
I still did it.
And I did it for good reason because I always did it. I always do it. I always will do it. I always did it. I always do it for good reason. I know that even if I don't know what the reason is, even if I can't see the goodness in it in the moment, I know that I'll get there and I trust that implicitly. And so I can love that.
I love that. And what's also an undertone of that is that you're coming from an empowered space there's like zero victim in that. Like you're like, even if I don't know why or what in this very moment, you're coming from like, I'll figure it out or I won't. Doesn't matter. It's all good kind of thing, which is one thing I just love about you. You're just really positive. That's that Sagittarian goodness, right? Yay.
Yay.
So, okay. So tell me then if we have some listeners that might wonder, well, how do you do that though? Because I think a large part of it is about staying conscious. So during the day, like it's super easy to be sucked into work or other life things, and you just kind of go into autopilot unconsciousness. And to me, that's when I feel like I've shut the door on that love and presence and the things. And I know everybody struggles with this, right? And some people are really pretty good at keeping themselves open, and other people aren't. And they're really, really bad. And they've like drank the world and they're 100% like believe what every thought they have, which is essentially maybe not the best choice. What are your strategies and tactics for, because I think the first thing I'll say is that you're mentally already energetically set up to believe that. So it's going to be easier for you to do the strategies and tactics. Some people who don't even, this is new information, or they believe I suck at this, I don't know, they may have a harder time. But because you have a good energetic vibration to set you up to receive that feeling of like, oh, I'll probably go unconscious today, but that's okay. And then you're good at it. What do you do to sort of like on days that you're really conscious and really like tapped in? What are the best things that you find for yourself?
Great question. I actually, the one word that comes to mind when I think of this is trust. Trust has been a theme lately. In the last few weeks, I don't know why, it's just been a word that's just kind of trust, faith, however you want to say it. And the reason I say that is because trusting yourself, having faith in yourself. I think we a lot of religion, well, not a lot of, I grew up Catholic, and I don't slam Catholicism. It's not for me. It's for a lot of people, but it's not for me. But one thing that I think a lot of Christian faith, right? It's the word, but kind of try to teach us this idea of faith and trust in something that you can't see or touch or smell or whatever. And I believe that's such a great lesson in the sense, but the difference is I think some of these religions teach it to have faith outside of yourself. Whereas
I get it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Whereas I think if you can learn how to trust yourself and have faith in yourself and understand that literally everything that's going on in here is right. It's correct, period. Even if it feels wrong, even if it feels like, even if you consciously, like, if you can think of the worst case scenario where you consciously made a decision that hurts someone else, that's okay. It's right. Trust yourself that was a choice that you made for a reason that you may not understand just yet, but it'll come. It'll come. And even if it doesn't come, trust that it's okay. Still, there's still like, if you trust and believe that at the core of yourself is love, which I think that's not a super hard concept for people to accept. I don't know. Maybe it is.
But they don't think about it. I mean, it's right, like I know it, but I don't live it maybe as much as I should, right?
Yeah.
When I'm plugged into the spiritual discussions, then you're like, okay, the core of me is love. And sometimes I screw up and sometimes I'm bitchy or whatever. But, so then you're saying you go back to trusting yourself.
Go back to trust. And here's why. That's a good, and the reason is because if we don't, we can go down this rabbit hole of lamenting and feeling guilty and wondering why we did that. And just like ruminating over the past and this choice that I made that I didn't appreciate or don't appreciate. It's just like, then you spend all this time feeling more shitty. So
which doesn't really get you where you want to be.
Exactly. So if you trust, okay, even if I made a shitty choice, consciously or unconsciously, or what's something that I feel is a shitty choice, because we don't have to define it that way. But if we feel like we're defining it that way, okay. And then we feel shitty, trust that it was for a good reason, and trust that the reason will come to you, and trust that even if it doesn't, it's okay. And trust that, do you know what I mean? Just keep trusting.
Just keep trusting, forgive yourself. Learn would be a big thing.
Learn.
Like, what did you learn? Okay, you fucked up. What did you learn? And then forgive, and then the trust and the faith.
Trust that you'll make a better choice the next time.
Right.
Trust, exactly.
Okay. So on a day-to-day, you're saying like, oh, I just totally went unconscious and stressed out and did all this work. But then you're like, you know what? I trust that I'm going to keep going, get better at this, instead of just like, God, I did it again, and all that. Is that what you're saying? Essentially, okay.
That's what I'm saying. And I think the other thing too, and this is where like there's so many different angles that you could look at, but they all come together. Another thing I try to remember is that the only thing that matters is right now. That's it. So again, when we're sitting there ruminating over what we did, where we were, if it didn't feel good, or if we went in autopilot for 8 hours, and
guilty. I'm so good at autopilot.
We all do this. We all do this. We all go, when we get so busy that we forget to stay conscious and become aware. We all do this. But then if we sit there and spend the next 8 hours thinking about the past 8 hours, that's not helpful either. So,
I want you to take, I know, and if you thought about it, like, here's your brain. Okay, that was really lame. I want you to also now take the next 8 hours and just think of how lame you are.
Exactly.
But that's what we do.
We do. That's exactly. And then we spent the last 16 hours feeling shitty.
Right.
And so what we're doing is creating all this momentum around the feeling of feeling shitty. Like, who wants that? Who wants that?
It's like a shit vortex.
It's a shit vortex.
Are you in the shit vortex? Did you make your own shit vortex? Yes. I know that I recently made a shit vortex for myself. And then you're like, and then like you said, I did that. And with what I always say, I don't know if people have seen past episodes, but it's like the law of attraction, it's not your fault. You don't even want to be in your shit vortex, but it's got a momentum, just like any whirlpool. It's going to kind of hold stuff in there. If you throw a leaf in a whirlpool, it doesn't just go, no, I don't want to be here, and like go. It's like, it gets stuck in there, and the same thing happens to us. So yes, no shit vortexes. Lesson 1. Okay. And if you feel yourself pulling in one,
then that's when you can really take time to stop and become aware and just decide, okay, so that happened and I'm feeling, and you can just kind of walk yourself out of that, whether it's through meditation, whether it's through going for a run. Exercise is super helpful to move energy through more quickly.
Yeah. Put on a dance song,
dance it off, go have a conversation that's completely not related to where you just came from, or whatever it is that helps pull you out of that. Because you can pull yourself out of it. It doesn't have to be difficult.
Yeah.
Even though there's a vortex, but you do see sometimes leaves pop out. You see it fly out. Yeah. And
they spin right out. Yeah.
Yeah. You can be that leaf that spins right out pretty quickly if that's what you choose. And so just know that and trust that, you can do this. You got this. And, just get right back where you want to be. And don't be hard on yourself if it takes 8 more hours. It's just trust that it's okay. Your process is all you need.
You're fine.
You're fine.
You're fine. Oh my God, you're fine. Just calm down.
Okay, your thoughts.
Okay. Well, I was thinking when you were talking about this, and now I've totally forgotten. But I'm like, wait, what? That one thing that I'm trying to train myself to do is, like, how you're doing work and your shoulders are up here, you're not breathing, and then you're like this. And I'm like going, okay, if you could check in with yourself, I'm like, are you breathing? I'm like, no. I'm like, should you breathe? I'm like, well, okay. Like it's that process where you just train yourself to check in more. And usually your natural self will kind of go, okay, I gotta stop this madness somehow. like that intention to do it, but I think the headline here is don't beat yourself up. Like when you go unconscious, when you're not in the flow, when you're not being a flow getter, you're being a go getter, and you're just like that kind of craziness.
I love
Been
that.
there, done that. But I feel like there's a difference, and I see this in you a lot, where everyone can be human and screw up, but the people that forgive themselves and can let it go and just, again, this present moment and look towards the awesomeness of your future, you can tell the difference vibrationally between people that secretly beat themselves up or not secretly, or people that are like, and then they, just go, okay, that sucks. I don't want to keep doing that, but I'm not going to beat myself up on it about either. And then there's people that take it really hard. And I've been both. I've been in the like, forgive yourself, move on mode. And I've been in the, I'm so imperfect. My God, and I'll catch myself being really hard on myself. And, I think the headline is like, stop it. Like, like it doesn't do anything at all, ever. Like being mean to yourself, has that gotten you, like, really reflect, has it gotten you anywhere? Like, of course you learned of course you don't want to do it, but like continuing to not be kind to yourself and not having faith and not being in the thing brings you back to a place of like, it's basically creating the same reason you're going unconscious. And then because you have a reason to beat yourself up, it's like, oh, they feed off of each other. And that's just not where you want to go, man. Hey man, don't go there.
Yeah.
Let it go. Getting good at letting things go and moving forward is one of the skill sets that, like, once you start flexing that muscle, you're like, oh, this is way better than feeling shitty or buying things that people tell you to buy to fix all your problems. And I mean, our books and products, of course you want to buy all those because they're super empowering. But there's a lot of people that come at it like, is your brain broken? And you're like, it's not. I just, no. So, okay. So what I think you're really good at giving yourself those breaks and doing things that make you happy. And for a person who, like, historically, because I know a lot of people like this where they just kind of want to argue for their limitations. Were you ever like that? And did you get yourself out of it? Or were you always kind of the like, nah, gonna keep rolling forward?
It's a great question. I think
I'm like interviewing you today. I'm Baba Wattas. I'm interviewing you. I can't do her accent. It's the coolest accent.
So good.
Yeah, I can't do it though.
Oh my God. It's a great question.
I'll be the journalist. Tell me more.
I want that to be your like profile picture.
Yeah, right in my eyeball. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so I definitely walked through the first 30 some years of my life pretty unconscious and pretty unaware. But that said, and I really think that there was a lot of, I think people saw me in a way that I didn't see myself. I've always looked outward.
Yeah.
I've always had a better, easier time looking outward than looking inward.
Okay.
And you can attest to this, given the resistance I have to feedback.
Yeah, by the way, those of you commenting on this video, do not give Erica feedback, okay? Like, she will just burn down your village. It's fine.
I've always said,
give me feedback. It's fine. Do not give no. I think it's
feedback.
I think because you are fiercely independent, you know that you have your own answers, and you had a transition from, like, I still have my own answers, but I'm not really paying that much attention to, I have my own answers. Oh, I'm looking in, like that. It's not that you don't care. It's just that really no one has the answer for you. So they can go fly a kite.
I love you so much. Kind of.
When I say fly
like...
a kite, you understand what I'm saying.
The underlying words she preferred using.
I mean,
yes, no, I think you're right. I think it's there is a certain, and maybe that's where the trust thing comes in. It's like I kind of know when I'm ready for the feedback, I'll open myself up and I'll hear it in a way that I need to hear it, whether it is direct from another human or from a song or from a, download or from a whatever it is. I need to be in that space to hear it. Otherwise it falls flat and I'm not going to hear it. Not only am I not going to hear it, but I'm going to rebel against it.
They can again fly a kite.
but back to your original question. I think probably maybe because of that, I have always kind of walked to my own rhythm and just sort of I've relied less on the outside world for guidance. Or when I say that, I think because my unconscious understanding of the connectedness that we have had from day one, I think I've always kind of known that. And I think that's why it's like, I feel like I have access to the answers at any given moment. And I kind of unconsciously, as I look back on my life, I feel like I kind of always knew that, but didn't consciously know that until the last 10 years. And maybe that's why it's like, I know that when I need to have the answer, it will show up. I just ask and it shall be received. Kind of.
Oh gosh. If I believe in anything, that I've had so much experience with, like, ask and it's given kind of thing, like just the answers show up. I think I definitely spent a period of time looking outward, but my husband even said, he goes, he's like, you're influenceable, but not really. He's like, at the end of the day, you're still going to do you. And I'm like,
that's awesome.
Yeah. Because there's times when I've been like, oh, I should eat this, or oh, I should do that, or whatever, But then it's like, now I'm at this point where it's like everyone can just F off. Like, I'm like, okay, whatever. So it's a great place to be. And if a person isn't there yet, don't worry. You will get there. Life is going to make you get there, I think, whether it's now or 10 years from now. Like, life will give you enough experiences to have you realize that it's all you. It's inside you.
Absolutely. And what I love about you is the balance you strike between being open to feedback. That's something that I would, another thing that's been kind of top of mind lately is this idea of community, and how I feel like community is really important. It's just finding the community that works for you. It doesn't have to look like what it looks like for anybody else. Or if that's what you want, then great. But you have this really innate understanding of what it means to connect with other people, and you're open to, I think the relationship thing is really why you've always been good at it, because you are open to feedback, even if, which is awesome, even if you hear the feedback and you're either you're like, yeah, okay, I hear you, but no thanks, that doesn't work for me, or in your own way, or it's like, okay, yeah, but I'm not ready to hear that right now. It might be true. And the cool thing is you acknowledge, you're like, yeah, I feel like that feels true, but I'm just not ready for that right now. And it's like, you're super honest about that. And I know that I have those feelings too, where I know the problem with me is that historically,
everybody, there is no problem with Erica.
There's no problem. The problem historically has been that the emotional piece, I think this is why I'm so into emotions, is because for me, emotions I've tended to let emotions take over, like control me versus me controlling them. And I think we're headed, as a species, we're headed toward understanding that emotions don't need to be controlled in any way, shape, or form. They're there for us to use when we need them. But I didn't understand that until relatively recently. And so I would let the anger just take me over.
You
And
are
then
a
I
fire sign, though. I mean, it's not your fault. You're like, I am supposed to light
It's
on
all
fire
my
and burn
fault.
this village. Yeah, like, that's my job. I'm
Oh
a
my God.
dragon. Yay! I mean, it's a, what are you gonna do?
It is. It's a
But
dragon
you were
thing.
saying.
No, but you're right. It's cool. It's like we all come in and we get to, come together and see these amazing things about other people. And we're like, I like that about you. I want to be more like that. And
Yeah.
so
Well,
we get
yeah,
to
we're
work
all
on
trying
that,
on different clothes,
Yeah.
different strengths. Yeah. Like now, yeah, at this phase, it's like I'm trying totally different ways of being just because I'm like, okay, that's the old way. What's the new way? And I think the other reason sometimes that I'm open to things is I'm not really taking it at face value. I kind of look at it like, okay, why is this moment happening? Is this a moment for me to kind of get in my own center and be like, that doesn't make any sense? And, define my own boundaries and preferences, because sometimes that's true. And other times it's like, no, this is like the universe going, hello, ding dong, you need to listen, and so it's me talking to me. So one way or the other, it's for me, but it may not be for me to directly listen. Other times it's for me to kind of go, I think they're insane. Or just, or helping you sift and sort through reality and kind of help. You're like, I don't know how I feel about it. I'll think about that for 10 days and come to my own conclusions, kind of thing. So it's really just like anything else. It's just an experience for me to make a decision about how I feel about it. Whether it's coming from a person, a video, a book, the voices in my head, I don't have voices in my head. Just everyone know. I don't want to go to Bellevue. No. So no.
They're
There's
benevolent voices that are
yeah,
they're
there's
extra dimensional voices. They're awesome.
That's the other thing is like, and this brings up a great point, which I can't wait till we get into, because I know we're closing our session soon because Eric has to go do stuff. But the other dimensions of reality have, and also source energy itself. There's this book, I don't even remember what it's called, but the whole point of it was that the universe is always whispering to you. It's going to shout at you every now and then, right? You're going to get a slap in the face or whatever. But everything around you has a frequency. So I'm kind of back to my frequencies and science thing, where this glass, that dog, that person, everything has a frequency to it to create its reality. Like it's solid because the frequency of this is really dense, right? Which is why you can break glasses with frequency, because it matches it and then it moves the molecules and then explodes, which is why people can sing at wine glasses and they'll blow up. So what was my point? Oh, that your frequency, as you're adjusting stuff, everything is that. So you have to decide like where you want that to go, right? Like you have control over that. It just doesn't, whether it's emotions, thoughts, all those things. And then the interdimensional beings also have frequencies, other dimensions, alien, anything you could think of, it's got a frequency. So when you have your own sort of sense of self and where you are, I think then it's a safer time to be open to the voices from other beings. It's like tuning. I think I'm safe enough now to start tuning to other frequencies, but do you truly have your own working for you? Like I know that you've had experiences with, we'll just say the non-physical experiences, which I can't wait to talk more about, or we have other videos, go find them. But it's like, there's sort of a really good, I think, foundation is like, do you know who you are? Like, do you have your own back? Because yeah, you might know who you are, but if, like at the beginning of our podcast today, if you're beating yourself up, that's not a solid frequency. So any other force, whether it's the news or aliens or demons, I don't know, whatever, if you can't support yourself, it's not a good idea to start trying to tune into that stuff, whether it's the news or an interdimensional being. You have to support your own self emotionally and have your own back before you start doing that. And you can see a lot of people, they buy into fear and a whole bunch of other things just because they don't have their own sense of self-love, really. That's why. they're sucked into it. Been there too. So I can say, I'm not just pointing fingers. I've been there. Okay, that's enough of my little soapbox. Okay, go,
oh my
girl.
God, I love this. No, that was beautiful. It's perfect. I mean, what you're saying is, and I love, by the way, if you can just interject some science in literally every podcast, let's do that. It's awesome because
I've heard the science.
Yes, no, it's perfect. And it resonates with so many people. So yeah, that's amazing. And you're right. I mean, what you're saying in a very eloquent and detailed way is you're talking about, I mean, you're using the word frequency, which is great. Vibration, frequency, the law of attraction. And I know that frequency is it doesn't mean exactly the same thing, but it's perfect because you're right. I mean, if step one is knowing and loving yourself, because when you know and love yourself, then you'll recognize what you're drawing into your life, the other frequencies that are coming into your life, the frequency that you're on, and then why and who and what you're bringing in, and you can much more easily create what you want. Because if you don't know this, and then stuff comes flying at you, it's really hard to recognize anything else in a loving, really clear kind of way and know how to navigate any of that.
Okay, tell me more too about when people are manifesting stuff that it's their own doing. It's like they're not aware of their own frequency.
That's exactly it. Yes. So yeah, step one, know who you are. Know what drives you, know what pushes you away, know your energy really, really well. And that is where you develop the trust piece. And that's where it's so easy to trust who you are when you know who you are, because you know it. It's like you trust and this is why I love the science piece, because I think a lot of people put a lot of stock into the science because seeing is believing for a lot of people. Right. Smelling is believing, tasting is believing, hearing is believing. Like when we can do all our senses in this physical world, it's like, well, yeah, we trust.
Right. And I think people the more you love yourself, the more you can believe before you see.
Yes. Thank you. Oh my God, that's beautiful. It's so true. This is so true. That's perfect. If you walk away with nothing else from this, that is perfect, because it's true. Like when you feel so grounded and you just there, it's all the same kind of thing, groundedness and unconditional love and trust and knowing and understanding and believing, they all live in the same community, all those words.
They're
friends. They're super friends.
They're like texting each other all the time, right?
Totes.
Yeah. And nobody, and I'm saying I didn't do this for a long time, is you have to spend time building that in your life. You can't just expect the outside world to tell you that you're awesome. You have to cultivate it in yourself, because your brain's used to telling you. Also, some more science. The bundles of nerves that tell you you're a poop bag, they're stronger than you have very few bundles of nerves if you've been doing that. And so you have to get your brain to be like, oh yeah, I am totally. And so you build the self-love. It does not come. No one can give it to you. I mean,
Well, what's fascinating, I love that you just said that, because it's super true. Oh my gosh, I have like 5 thoughts, and I've lost all 4 of them except for one. The one that I remember is, so the science piece, the brain piece, yes, translates into the feeling piece for me, which is because the unconditional love, I believe, is who we are. Anything that's not that's kind of opposes that or feels opposing to that, which is really any form of emotional discomfort or pain, if you want to call it that, because it's not who we are, it's more intriguing, which is why we are drawn to that, which is probably why there's more stuff in the brain kind of wanting to grab onto that, hold on to that. It's because we are naturally curious and we naturally want to see kind of the contrast or the diversity because that's how we learn. I mean, the greatest lessons in life are often come through emotional pain. They kind of just do. It's because it's so interesting and different and not who we are at the core. The love part is who we are, and that feels so familiar and so comfortable and so yummy. But it's kind of, sometimes it can get kind of boring because it's like, well, yeah, I already know that. And even though we might not consciously think in those terms that, yeah, I already know the unconditional love is me. First of all, yes, know that. But second, understand that like we kind of require that difference.
Yeah, because we came here, we already are love. We came into this dimension to forget the awesomeness so we could remember the awesomeness.
Yes.
It's just like getting in a bubble bath where you're like,
I forgot how awesome this feels.
How awesome this is. Yeah.
Exactly.
If bubble baths are your thing, but you get the idea. Oh my God. So many nuggets. I mean, here's what I do know. We could talk for 18 straight hours and then we'd be like, we've temporarily run out of topics. We'll be back.
We'll be back in 2 hours. Short break. 18 more hours.
18 more hours of topics. Because you just said like 50 things. And I'm like, oh my God, I want to talk about that.
You did too. I know.
Yeah, I know. It was so good. So we'll go through our own podcast, pick out more topics. But we, dear listeners, we want to hear from you. What do you want us to talk more about? How can we help you? What can we answer? What do you need to know? Flow Getter is here to explore all the awesomeness. So Erica, thank you so much for your wisdom and beauty and glory and goodness today.
Love you so much.
Love you too. And Flow Getter folks, thank you for being on this planet and being so awesome, because without all of this, we wouldn't have the joy that we have. Like, it's really people. I know people have trouble with people, but people are great. And it's why we love them and we love you. And we're glad you're here with us today. Truly. So, okay. Have a great future and we'll see you in the next podcast. Bye for now.